Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry, I'm a couple of minutes late. I had trouble signing in, so I'm here now. So, welcome, everyone.
Good morning, Christina.
Good morning. How nice to hear your beautiful voices. So, here we are in Organic Sanskrit, Series 2, Class 6. Wow, very exciting. So, how is everyone? Put some numbers in the chat. One's for good, two's for maybe not so good. Mezzo mezzo. Great. We're doing very well out there. Excellent. Good. It's good here too. I have a very brief Venerable Phil update. He is doing so well. Marina, can you show the first slide? That's wonderful. He has a big bump on his head, but he is doing fantastic. And he's coming home today. So Venerable Gyaltse and I will go over there after lunch and pick him up and bring him home. So he's doing really, really well. So that is great news. Let's go to the next slide. Guess what? We're going to review the consonants. That's perfect. Stop there. Okay. So we're going to sing the consonant song. Everyone, please open your microphones and sing with me from left to right. And this time we are adding the 4 semivowels and the 3.5 sibilants. So we're going to go all the way across. And remember your mouth position. First varga is guttural. You put your throat all the way back in your throat. And I'll say it first, then you say it with me. Remember, it's the primal sound of Sanskrit, not ah, ka, ka, ga, ga, na, ha. Say with me. Ka, ka, ga,
No.
ha.
Ha.
That's a new one. Okay. Second varga, palatal. The tip of your tongue is on the bump in the back of your mouth, on the roof of your mouth. Tra, tra, dra, tra, na, ya, sha. Say with me. Tra,
Cha, cha, na,
ya.
ya, cha.
Good. The third varga, it's cerebral. Your tongue goes all the way up to the top of the roof of your mouth into your brain. So, ta, ta, da, da, na, ra, sha. Say with me. Ta,
Ta,
Da,
da,
na,
na,
ra,
da,
ra,
say sha.
ra.
Very good. Fourth varga, that's dental, and the tip of your tongue goes against the bump in the back of your front teeth. So, ta, ta, da, da, na, la, sha. That's a hard one. Say with me. Ta,
Da,
ta,
da,
da,
ha,
na,
la,
la,
sha.
sha.
Yes, it's a sa, no sha. Sa, like an English type sa, many European languages, sa. But somehow try to put your tongue behind your front teeth and say sha. Sha. Say
sha,
yeah, sha.
Da,
Not sha.
da.
Good.
sha.
Good. That one, honestly, we're going to say mostly like modern European languages. We're just going to say sa, but that is the absolutely correct way to say it in Sanskrit. Now, the fifth varga, labial, that's where you put your lips together and almost as if you were making a kiss motion. So we're going to say pa, pa, ba, ba, ma, and va.
Pa, pa, ba,
Pa, pa,
pa,
ba,
ma,
pa, ma,
va.
wa.
Okay, good. Yes. And I say va. Geshe usually says va, but sometimes he says he wants to say wa. And many, particularly Hindu traditions, say wa instead of va. But in this class, you'll
Wa,
va. Yeah. Well, you
wa,
see, it's labial, right? So if you put your lips together and say va, it almost
wa,
like wa.
wa.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. How would we spell that in Sanskrit? I think we'd have to use a virdi. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So last week we went over, I believe, these two somewhat unusual consonants. And the reason I'm highlighting them is that sometimes we consider them to be two extra consonants in Sanskrit. So that would bring our total consonants to 35. But sometimes we don't. So it's a 50-50 proposition. However, I think it is really important to learn them as separate letters for two reasons. They're very common, they occur frequently. And the second reason is with many compound consonants, which these are, you can easily guess which two consonants are combined. But with these two, I do not think you can guess. For instance, the first one is ksha. Everybody say ksha, ksha, ksha.
Pra,
Sha,
pra.
sha.
Good. And if you're a Russian speaker or a Ukrainian speaker or a speaker of Slavic languages, you have an advantage because you have many compound consonants in your language. So it is easy for you to say difficult compound consonants. The rest of us must struggle more. So which two letters do you think are written in that Devanagari there? Open your mics and talk to me. You get a hint from the I asked underneath that. What's the first letter in that I asked? Come on, somebody knows. Open your mics. The very first letter in that three-letter group is what?
Consonant.
It's a consonant, but which one?
Yeah.
Ka.
Yeah.
Ka. I think someone said ka. It's ka,
Ah,
right?
ka.
And what's the second consonant there?
Sha.
Sha. And what varga is that?
Fourth varga, I think. No, third varga.
Third varga, cerebral, because it has a dot under it. And in I asked, anytime we see the dot under it, we know it's a cerebral. So somehow, if you think of our Devanagari chart, the first letter is ka. It's that downstroke with the little curly cues, the little round circles. And the sha, which is the cerebral sha, which is the loop with the stroke through it. This is how they decided to combine them when they write them together. Ksha. So it's a common compound consonant. You see it in words like kshanti, which means peace, or patience too. And it is so unusually written that you could not guess from looking at that Devanagari what two letters are combined. So you must memorize it by heart, and it is very common. The second letter there, say with me, jnya.
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 Жня.
Jnya.
Жня.
Жня.
Yeah.
Жня.
Жня.
Very satisfying to say that. And that is the combination of which two consonants?
Ja and na.
Ja and na. And which na is that?
Second varga.
Nasal.
Second varga.
Second.
Palatable. Very good. That's exactly what that is. And if you remember your Devanagari, the ja is a little bit like this letter, but with that loop on the bottom, it's not like that letter. So this is another one that is common. We see it in the word jnana, which means knowledge. And this is the way you write it. So you must memorize it. And there's no way to guess what that is. All right. So we don't put them on the grid that you just saw because they're not in any one varga, right? So the ksha is a combination of ka, which is first varga, guttural, and sha, which is third varga, cerebral. So we wouldn't know where to put that. Now, the jna is a little different. We could theoretically put that in the second varga because they're both palatal, but we don't do that. It's too complicated. Okay. So compound consonants are very common in Sanskrit. And we will be looking into them soon. But these are the most unusual too. So I pulled them out and we talked about them as their own letters almost. Okay. And sometimes we call these consonant clusters or compound consonants. Questions? Okay. And we'll be reviewing these, so just stick with us. If you're finding these classes challenging, congratulate yourself and just keep coming. Ask questions, review, and stick to it, and we'll learn a lot together. All right, let's have the next slide. We'll change pace from consonants now. Right, now this one we have been studying for a few weeks already. This is chapter 3, verse 25 from the Bodhisattva Charyavatara. And let's quickly recite this. I'll recite it first. Look at the ayast, and then we'll recite it together. Adya me sapalam janma sulabdo manusho bhavaha. Say with me.
Adya me sapalam janma salupto manusho bhavaha.
Bhavaha.
Good. You guys are going fast. Take your time. Now we'll do the second line. Adya Buddha Kule Jato. Oh, oops, I missed that. Adya Buddha Kule Jato Buddha Putro Sme Sampratam. Say with me. Adya
Adya Buddha
Adya Buddha
Jato
Kule Jato
Prasmi
Buddha
Sampratam.
Putro Me Sampatam.
I hope you're practicing. You should be very familiar with the sound of this verse by now, and it feels more comfortable, doesn't it? Now, has anyone made any progress in memorizing this verse for mixed nuts?
Well, I learned Adya me sapalam. That's all.
That's good. Add one more. Adya me sapalam janma, because that's half of the first line, and that's where the break occurs. So if you add janma, you're going to be 25% of the way there. That is absolutely great. Adya me sapalam janma.
Adya me sapalam janma.
See how that fits together? And the second half is sulabdo manusho baba.
Sulabdo manusho bavaha.
And bavaha is right. But if we're going to be reciting this in poetry, which this is, we have to say bava. But in grammar class, you'll say bavaha. Great. That is really good. All right. So we'll do more on this next time. But for now, we're going to move to the next slide. Oh, we did that. Did I? Oh, wait a minute. Where am I? Sorry, I got ahead of myself. We're absolutely right. All right. Nope, back to where you were, Marina. That was, yes. Now, this is the next verse. This is chapter 3, verse 26 of the Bodhisattva Charyavatara. So these are the two verses that Geshe Michael suggested we study in this class. So it's halfway through and we're moving to the second verse. And we saw a little bit of this last time. And I have no idea why the PowerPoint has added that 325 in there. This is 326. So ignore that. And we'll recite this a few times. So I will do half of the first line and then we'll do it together. Tata duna maya karyam. Say with me.
Tatha dhana maya karyam.
Good.
Tata
Duna maya
Maya Karyam.
tata
Tata Duna
maya karyam. Say one more time. Tata
Tatha dhana maya
Maya
karyam.
Karyam.
You see the rhythm of that line? It's almost like a song. The long A's really show you how to phrase it, and it becomes very beautiful sound. So the last half is Svakulochita Karina.
Svakulo chita karinam.
Karyam.
Yes. Now we have to pay a little attention to the second half because there's one long vowel which does not have a special marker. We have to remember that it's long. And which one is that? The long vowel that has no mark on it.
Oh,
Oh, yes.
Oh.
O is always long, always 2 beats. So we say Svakulochita Kari.
Svakulo chita karinam.
Perfect. Svakulochita
Karinam.
See the rhythm? So we're going to say the whole thing now, the first line. Tata duna
Tata Guna
ya, come.
Maya
Atha
Karyam
Thuna Maya Karyam Sva
Wa
Kulochita
Kulo
Kulochita Karinam.
Karyanam
Like a song. Tata duna
Tata Duna
ya
Maya Karyam
sva
Wa Kulo Chita Karinayam.
Great. Now the next line. You don't understand why the PowerPoint puts all those numbers. I did not put those there. Okay. This one has a challenging word in it, but we'll practice it. Nirmalasya kulasyasya kalako na bhaved yatha. Now, before we say this, are there any long vowels here that are not marked with a marker?
Yes.
No.
Which?
Kalanko.
Kalanko. Good.
Kalanko.
Bhaved. Yes. Two long vowels, which are always long, so they don't need a marker. So I will break this in half and we'll say the first half of the second line. Nirmalasya ulasyasya.
Nirmalasya Kulasyasya.
Yeah. Oh, we switched lines. Marina, go back to the 20. No, we're going backwards. Yes. Okay. Nirmalasya kulasyasya.
Nirmalasya Kulasyasya.
So that second word is a little challenging. It's because it has a double yasya, but we can say it because some of us speak Slavic languages and some of us are Sanskrit students. Let me say the whole thing. Nirmalasya kulasyasya kalanko nabavedyata. Say it with me.
Nirmalasya Kulasyasya Kalanko Nabhavet Yat.
One more time. Nirmalasya
Nirmalasya Kulasyasya Kalanko Nabhavet Yatha.
Great. Okay, did anyone have a chance to practice this once or twice during the week? Yes, you don't have to say. I just encourage you, if you have a few minutes, look at the PowerPoint and just say it aloud a couple of times. It's very useful. We'll do more next time. Okay, next slide, please.
Christina,
Yes.
I have a question on the first verse, 325.
And let's go back, Marina, to 25. One more.
One more. Yeah, too much.
One more. No, I think.
Forward one.
Where was it? Let me see. Yeah.
I'd like to know, I don't know if this is relevant, but I'm looking at the Devanagari.
Yes.
And the Palam in the top line has got a, what is that called with a dot above again? It is called Anuswara. Anuswara. And then on the bottom line, it's got a virama. At the right at the end, it's got sampratam.
Yes.
So both of them end with an M, but one is a virama, the other one is an anuswara.
Yes. That second line, the last word, sampratam, that M at the end of sampratam would be a virama, I mean an anusvara, if it was followed by another word. But because it is at the end of a line and no other word follows it, it just is a M with a virama after it, meaning no vowel is attached. So if you look at palam in the first line, which actually there says sa palam because they put those two together, a word follows that. And it's a word that starts with a consonant. Janma. So it's a anusvara, it's a palam, because it's followed by another word starting with a consonant. Sampratam is at the end of a word. So there's nothing to follow it. If you recall, anusvara means after sound. And what it does is it nasalizes what comes before and after it. So palam would have more of a nasal and there's a transition to the consonant following it with a more nasal quality. But there's nothing to transition in sampratam, so it's just cut.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, so anusvara does not occur at the end of a line because there's no after sound. Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question. Can we take it from your PowerPoint, this shloka, and print in order to see it by eyes?
Yes. Please use this material in any way that you find helpful or useful. Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. And printing them, I'm old-fashioned, so I like paper copies sometimes, and I find them easier to review. Yes. Beautiful. Very good, Amirta. So feel free. All right, let's move to, what is this slide? Maybe 10? Yes. Last week, we introduced this massive concept of nouns. And we learned that each Sanskrit noun has 24 different forms. Because there are 8 cases, and each case adds a flavor of meaning, a different quality of meaning to its noun. So 8 cases, and then there are 3 numbers in Sanskrit: singular, dual, and plural. So 8 cases times 3 numbers for each noun is 24 different forms of each noun. You have entered a very challenging arena of study, the Sanskrit language. And it's wonderful, and we'll go slow, and we'll learn, and it's a test of our patience in not getting discouraged, because you haven't been studying Sanskrit for that long. You already know a lot, and please do not be discouraged by what you do not yet know. It will come. All right, next slide. These are the 8 cases. They're the nominative, accusative, instrumental, dative, ablative, genitive, locative, and vocative. Good. And I love these comments. These are great. So they're in this order in Sanskrit, If you study other languages, sometimes they're in a different order and they're different cases. They don't all have 8 cases. But this is the order we're going to memorize them in. So learn it. Nominative, accusative, instrumental, dative, ablative, genitive, locative, and vocative. So does anyone remember the silly acronym or mnemonic that I mentioned last week?
I remember it was something about bagel.
Bagels. Close, but it's not exact. Right.
Heidegel.
Heidegel. Right. That's it. Similar to bagel, right? So just think of this as something delicious to eat. Heidegel. So it just helps you to remember the order when you're in a rush and you have to remember what the cases are. And you have to remember to stick the vocative case on the bottom. And the vocative case is used to address other living beings, or if you're a slightly crazy, inanimate beings. Okay. Now, let's go to the next slide. And these are the flavors of the 8 cases. The nominative case is the subject of a sentence. The accusative is the object. The instrumental is by means of. Dative, to or for. Ablative, by, at, from, down, from. Genitive is a possessive case, belonging to. Locative, very useful, in or on something. And the vocative case is used for direct address. So it's a little rare. You might say, hey, teacher. Or if your car is acting up, you may say, oh, you Toyota, you're not behaving well. But that would be unusual. Okay, let's go to the next slide, where this is review. When we write out a noun in all its cases, we call it a declension. So if we write out all 24 forms, it's a declension. So take a noun like yoga. It keeps its basic form, but the endings will change according to the case. Nouns are grouped in categories called declensions. So if you're in a certain declension, your case endings will all be the same. And there are several different declension groups. So the case endings will be different in those other declension groups. And declension group is sort of redundant. So we'll just say declension because it's already a group. And if you are asked to decline a noun, this means write the noun out in all its 24 cases. All right, next slide. All right, are we ready? Got to say yes. This is going to be frightening or scary. Everybody say yes or no.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Next slide. These are the 24 forms of the noun yoga declined. So each one of these words is yoga, but each has a slightly different flavor depending on the case, the number, and I guess those are about the only 2 qualifiers here. So we're going to spend some time on this. We're going to recite the whole declension. So I'll say it first, and then we'll say it together. I'll say the whole thing from left to right, nominative case, singular, all the way to vocative, plural. Yogaha, yogao, yogaha, yogam, yogao, yogan, yogena, yogabhyam, yogaihi, yogaya, yogabhyam, yogebhyah, yogat, yogabhyam, yogebhyah, yogasya, yoga yoho, yoganam, yoge, yoga yoho, yogeshu, yoga, yogao, yogaha. That is 24 versions of yoga. So let's recite this. Recite with me from left to right. And you know how to say all these letters and all these vowels and all these visargas. I don't think we have any anusvaras, no. Okay, so say with me, open your mics. Yoga,
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 yoga.
Yoga.
We were on Andrea,
Yogam.
go too fast. Accusative. Yogam,
Yoga.
Yogam.
gao.
yogao,
Yoga.
yogan,
Instrumental. Yogena,
yogena,
Yogena.
yogabhyam,
yogai.
Pyam.
yogesh,
Yogai.
That's a hard one. Dative. Yogaya,
yogaya,
Yogaya.
yogabhyam,
Yogabhyam.
yogabhyah,
Yogibhyah.
ablative. Yogat,
yogat,
Yoga.
yogabhyam,
Yogabhyam.
yogebhyah,
Yogibhyah.
genitive. Yogas,
yogasya,
Yogasya.
yogyah,
Yoga.
yogyanam,
Yoganam.
vocative. Yoge,
yoge,
Yogi.
yogyo,
Yogaho. Yogayo.
yogeshu,
Yogishu.
yoga, yogao, yogah,
who's that? Yulia, you're going fast there, girl. Vocative again. Yoga, yogao,
Yoga.
yogah,
Yogao.
yogah.
Yogaha.
very good. Okay. So interestingly, there's only one of those 24 forms, which is yoga. Who can find it?
Vocative.
Vocative.
Just all the vocatives?
Singular.
Vocative singular, yes. So when we see Sanskrit nouns in our Roman literature, they're almost always a form that doesn't really occur in Sanskrit, because in Sanskrit, they're all declined. So you won't see that plain form. Sometimes we call it a stem form, except in English translation. So, yeah. There's no yogini. No, that's because it's a derivative of the word yoga. Okay, let's have the next slide. Now, we know roots are very important in Sanskrit. The root of the word yoga, the Sanskrit root, is yuj. Everybody say yuj.
Yuj.
Huge.
And that means to join. And I absolutely love Geshe Michael's translation of the word yoga, because he translates it often as making whole. And we know the practice of yoga is a way, we learn this now from the Sanskrit root of joining. And what we are joining, for example, when we do yoga, is the body, the muscles, the flesh, and the prana, all of the internal, less physical aspects of the body. So it's a perfect word for this exercise. And there are other words that come from yoga also. Now, I put here the IE root. And what does IE mean? Who remembers? The Sanskrit root is yuj, and the IE root means?
Indo-European.
Yes. Indo-European is that somewhat mythical language that occurred before we had paper. So we don't really know too much about where it was used or who used it or how they spoke it. But it's older than Sanskrit. And Sanskrit is an Indo-European language. So here, the Indo-European root for yoga is, I don't really know how to pronounce this. I would say yoig, right? So you can sort of see how yoig changed into yuj, and yuj became yoga. Some of the Indo-European cognates, who knows what a cognate is? Cognate is a word that means related words similar in root form to a certain root. So for instance, the root yuj gives rise to the word yoga. So yoga arises from the same root. Here, I've chosen 4 words that are cognates of both yuj and yoig, however you say that. And these are the English words yoke. You can see how that comes from yuj. Jugular, that's a little more challenging to say, but if the Y changed to a J, you would see that jugular can come from yuj. Zygote, that's an interesting one. And join itself. The word join, which is what yuj means, is a cognate of yuj. All right, so let's not worry too much about that. But let us go to the next slide. And we're going to find some declined goodies. Give the translators a moment to translate that. Goodies are treats or lovely things you might want to eat or reward yourself with. So let's find some declined goodies in this verse, which is our new verse of study. Can anyone find the word karyam in this verse? You can look into I asked, it's much easier. Where is karyam?
Fourth word in the first line.
Yes. And in the Devanagari, which is it?
It's the third. I
Yes.
don't know. Third group.
Third grouping. It's a third word, yeah. But grouping is better because that last one obviously is a compound grouping. So I don't know, Marina, if you could put up our yoga declension in a split screen with this verse. Is that possible? I should have thought of this and asked you earlier. But I would like to ask what case you think the word karyam is at. maybe we can flash back to the yoga declension, which is slide 15.
Maybe it's accusative.
Instrumental.
Ablative.
No, accusative singular.
Yes.
Ablative.
No, it's not ablative, because ablative is at. That would be karyat. So I think you're right that this is an accusative singular.
And Christina,
Yes.
the dot above the sutra is
Yes.
the M.
Yes.
But there is also a second curve there.
Yes.
R.
Perfect, Kathy. That is excellent. There are two things on top of that word karyam, and it's karyam because it has a long A marker. So two things are going on. One, as you rightly say, is the M marker, which is anusvara. And we just mentioned and remembered that that is how an M is written when it is followed by a word beginning with a consonant. So here that consonant is sva. So sa is a consonant. So we have to write the M as an anusvara. And if it was at the end of the line, we wouldn't write the dot. We would write the virama. But because it's in the middle of the phrase, we write the dot. And there is something else going on here, and it is the curved mark. Someone said it. Say it again. What is that curved mark above the sutra?
Is the R. It's a semi-vowel. R.
Half correct.
All right. Yeah.
If it was a semi-vowel, would it be written above the sutra or below the word?
The vowel is written below the word. Semi-vowel is written above the word, and it's a compound consonant that happens.
Yes, exactly. So this is
for the consonant.
This is a semi-consonant, also known as a semi-vowel, which is confusing. But it's not the vowel. It is a semi-consonant, and it occurs this way when, as you said, it is written as a compound consonant. So what is this word again? Let's look at the ayast. Say the word. You can read it in Devanagari. Karyam. Is that what you said?
Is the compound consonant?
The ya is the compound consonant. So here it's actually two semivowels that act as the compound consonant. So we see, if you look at the ayast, we see, okay, we lost it temporarily, but we'll get it back any second now. But the R and the Y are combined together with no vowel in between them. So anytime you see two consonants together or two semiconsonants together with no vowel in between them, that means it's a compound consonant. And when the R, which is our most unusual consonant, occurs in combination with another consonant, you write the R above the sutra as a little curve. So I think we're having a little challenge getting our PowerPoint back. So we'll wait for just a moment and I'll tell you. Now, karya is a word that means what is to be done. So it can mean work or action or duty as well. So karya is a masculine noun ending in A, and that is the same declension as yoga, a masculine noun ending in A. So when we write that M after the word, we can look in our declension chart and figure out which of the 24 versions of the word this is. And someone said earlier that it is the accusative singular. And that's what this is. So we know that this word in this verse is going to be the object of the sentence. So karyam is accusative singular of a masculine declension ending in short A. Okay. So let's, oh, great. Marina has put up the split screen. Great. But Marina, instead of the English listing of the flavors of the 8 cases, can you put up, I think it was slide 10 or 15, the one with the actual words, the chart of yoga. See if we can put that up. Okay, so in the meantime, let's look at another example in our verse. And for this, I need that screen back while Marina works on this. Marina, I'm making your life difficult here. I'm sorry. But I want to look for the word karinam. Karinam.
Put it in the chat.
Oh, thank you, Andreas. And it's karinam with a cerebral n.
Karinam.
Yes, karinam.
What are you asking for?
Well, I would like to know what case that is.
Accusative in singular form.
Ah, but look at the quality of that
So it could be what is that? It could be instrumental dative or ablative in dual form, or it's genitive in plural form.
I think that it is a genitive in plural form. And how do you know that? What is the marker? And I'm sorry, well, next week we'll practice putting split screens up so you can look at the chart of these things, because this is very challenging unless you happen to have taken a photograph of it on your phone. So it's genitive plural, and how do you know that? What's the ending?
Nam.
Yes, it's a long A and an M. That's perfect. Okay, so that is exactly what we needed, and thank you so much for doing that. So let's move to the verse. Look at the first line, and the very last word in that line is karina. So if you look at the ending, And then you look at the chart on the left, which is our poster child yoga word, declined. Where do you see a long ah with a m?
Genitive in plural form.
Genitive plural, exactly. Is there anything else we could possibly say it might be?
Yoganam.
Well, that's what it is. But it really is not ambiguous. I don't think we could say it was any other case declined here. It has to be.
Because otherwise it would be Karidyam or something.
Yes. There is, if you look at the accusative singular, that's a short A and a M, but this is a long A and a M. So it could not be accusative singular, right? And that's the only other choice I see. It couldn't be accusative plural because that's with a N, yogan. The only one that has a long A and a M ending is the genitive plural. So anyway, we just got a taste today of how we're going to be declining nouns from now on. And I'm a little backed up on the homeworks, but when I get around to it, you're going to be asked to memorize the 24 forms of the noun yoga. So you can get started on that. And just as we have been chanting the alphabet song and the consonant song, we are going to chant the declension of masculine nouns ending in short A. So we'll learn this. And it's right there for you, yogaha, yogao, yogaha. So start practicing, memorizing that and chanting it. And we'll go through a lot more of this in the future. And I want to give you, I want to give you one encouraging piece of information. Maybe 80% of the nouns in Sanskrit are masculine nouns ending in short So it's going to be a very useful thing to memorize. And you can use this declension to compare and learn a lot of other declensions that we'll learn in the future. So it's well worth your time. Okay, so let's skip to the very last slide, Marina, because we're out of time. And yes?
Can I ask something?
Of course.
For me, it would be helpful that we learn also the translation of these rasters.
Declined forms.
Difficult to understand, but when we have the translation, maybe it's easier to understand.
I think that is a great point, and we'll do that next week.
Thank you.
Yes, and so in other words, we'll go through each of the 24 forms and say how we would translate them.
Thank you.
That'll be very useful. So, but for today, thank you for coming. If you learn one word of Sanskrit, you will learn it all. Remember that. And I want you all to do coffee meditation on the amazing work you are doing, because you are helping to spread the Dharma in the world and preserve Sanskrit. And the Dharma is originally all written in Sanskrit. And I want to remind everyone about ACI's next retreat starting April 17th. It's called The New Beginning, Opening the Door to the Diamond Way. The online registration is open to everyone. Scholarships are still available. You can go to the Asian Classics website to sign up. And why am I bringing this up? It's super important to know about because Geshe Michael has offered to teach everyone Diamond Way in 2026. But in order to qualify for Diamond Way with Geshe Michael in 2026, you must attend online, at least, if not in person, all 4 ACI events in 2025 to qualify to take Diamond Way teachings from Geshe Michael in 2026. So I encourage everybody to sign up for the new beginning starting April 17th if you have any interest in Diamond Way with Geshe Michael. All right, we will continue with nouns next week. Thank you all so much. See you soon.
Thank you very much.
Klaus, Christina, thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.